You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey everybody, one more time. It's your friends at Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. We're glad to have you. My name's Jordan Liu.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Back again. He won't go away.
He just keeps showing up.
I think we adopted him. Jesse Starcher.
What's up, guys? What is up? What is up? What is up? Yeah, thanks for having me back on here again. We're going to be talking some pop. I don't know if I've actually done a regular episode with you guys. I'm sure I had to have. We're always doing some kind of we're always doing some kind of like trivia or some kind of goofy thing where we're counting down where Field of Dreams fits in some time travel. But I'm here today, and it's going to be like a regular episode that I always listen to you guys do.
That's why he keeps coming back. He's waiting for that apology, Cliff.
That's what it is. He can't get over the fact that I ruined his list.
Listen, you have no idea how many people I've told about that exact moment that happened on that list. I hope they all tuned in and listened to the episode just to hear that go down. Oh, it's great.
So yeah, we have been doing some different things, some novel things that we haven't done before. So we've let our typical review and recap episode slip by the wayside a little bit. So there's been a lot of TV here lately. There's been more TV than anyone can keep up with, all dropping at the same time. So your friends at KPP are going to try to remedy that just a little bit and catch up with a few of our favorites.
We start with.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that we're going to talk about, well, at least in pop culture, last few weeks has been Stranger Things. Season 4 premiering on Netflix. We got how did they word it? Season 4, volume 1?
Volume 1, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't get the entire 4th season yet. We still got a little bit of time before that drops.
Netflix is never going to do the episode by episode thing. They're going to drop it in chunks, but
yeah,
do it in 2 chunks, I guess, is some way to spread it out.
But right. I think this has been one of our favorite things that's come out the past 5 or 6 years, however long it's been out now. But since we've been doing this, but I really didn't know. I mean, what did you guys think off the top of your head?
Well, I gotta tell you, when this show premiered, that season 1, well, nothing better. But 2 and 3 were fine. I enjoyed them. And then there was an awful long wait for season 4.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the kids got tall and gangly. I forgot everything that happened. I didn't do a rewatch of it at all. So I came into this season thinking, all right, I'll just get some more straight. Like I was interested. I wanted to watch it, but I was not ready to be blown away. And this season was great. I loved it.
Yeah. I would say, I mean, going all the way back to season 1, I remember watching that and just being amazed at how strange it was, Stranger Things, and how captivating it was as well. It was something that normally when we're watching TV around here, it's usually me and the wife are sitting down. We're going to watch some TV together. There's few shows that I watch by myself. So I'm usually got somebody there with me. Now, what was the first season come out in 2017? Do you guys know off the top of your head? Somebody might have to look that up.
Sounds right.
I can tell you that, I got my daughter to watch it with us, and she became a big fan of Finn Wolfhard, and that's a, big, what a heartthrob, Anyway, so, we're watching it. We got this big break between season 3 and season 4. And man, this season, I didn't know what we were going to get. Just like you said, a lot of time has passed. These actors have to get back into these roles and pick up kind of where they left off, but they have obviously aged a good bit. So again, we're pulling off the 80s nostalgia with this. Some great, some great nostalgia that happens in this season. But man, is there some intense moments that happen in season 4, let alone the fact that like there is a song that I don't think charted in the US, and because it got played in this season, it charted finally for the first time in the United States 34 years after it got released.
Yeah.
I think is it 34?
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I think today it hit number 1 in the British charts.
UK. Nice.
Yeah. So
I
which
mean,
is pretty amazing. Kate Bush, and she's, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a song I recognize, but for people to like reclaim it, this new generation's claiming this song like it's
right,
come out of nowhere. I'm
They're
just
putting it in their TikToks and everything.
Right.
I was trying to think. So think about this. I mean, there's been other times where this has happened, and the one that sticks out to me is Bohemian Rhapsody from Wayne's World. Like that was one of those situations where that song had been out for a very long time. Yeah. And then our generation claimed that, when it came out, it became like it hit number 1, I'm pretty sure, at a
Wayne's
very
World,
long time.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about Wayne's World and that happening at that point, but yeah, this feels a little different to me. Just I think because of the social media aspect, I can't go on any platform without seeing it everywhere. So, but anyways, yeah, I remember when these first couple seasons came out, having a conversation about how cool it was for the nostalgia of it, but it felt different because I remember, I think Seth compared it to like the Goldbergs at the time, where this show, there were just things in the background. It looked more authentic to us than the Goldbergs did. That was just kind of like, hey, we're just pretending here and nothing really fits in correctly. And here's this thing, let's turn it towards the camera so you notice it, and it can be the focal point, that type of blatant in your face.
We didn't know any of these actors, so they just seemed like they could have been real kids. They weren't Hollywood handsome, and they were kind of nerdy. Right. Unmistakable.
What a dork.
But no, Winona Ryder was probably the big star of it in that first season. She was the only one we really knew.
Right.
But yeah, it's been neat to grow with these kids.
Man, we got some great elements happening in this season. Some satanic panic.
There is.
Yeah, some we of course you got the Dungeons and Dragons element that's been there since season 1, but I mean it seems to be on high display here.
It seems to be like that is it's a good idea, but it does feel a little like a crutch, like that's just what you're gonna do every time. Mm-hmm. You're just gonna pull out of that monster manual and that's your next monster. So, that's what the next season is.
Vecna is a staple in D&D lore, is that right?
Yeah. The Demogorgon, Vecna, there's others like it just seems like this seems like Vecna is basically it is a big deal, yes, and you're right, it's a staple, but it's all gonna lead back to the Demogorgon or whatever, I'm sure.
The Mind Flayer.
Yeah, Mind Flayer, yeah.
There you go.
These are all big time D&D monsters that get used over and over.
That was kind of a difference this year. Like the first couple seasons were almost like Lovecraftian, like cosmic, there's something beyond that we don't understand. This felt more straight up horror. This was Nightmare on Elm Street, or there's an actual monster going to break your bones. Like it was less conceptual and cosmic.
Yeah, I totally agree. It definitely had a bit more gore to it this year, I thought.
Oh yeah. But I was, back when it became a thing, I was not an early adopter. I mean, I watched it right along with everybody else, but I was not like in love with it like everybody else was. I was like, it's fine. I kind of slowly watched it. It did not knock me over like it did everybody else, and I wanted it to, but it didn't. It has grown on me over time. Like I really do like it. I watch it each season as it comes out, and and I really like this season. I like but there's some things that I can do without. That there are parts that bore me, like most of the stuff with 11 in this hospital bored me to tears. I didn't care about that at all. I wanted to be out with the kids that were out doing stuff.
Right.
So
until that final episode where everything clicked, it was a long slog to get, because I hate dream sequences and is this a memory or is this really happening? Like it seemed like they didn't know what to do with her, so they just kind of kept her treading water till we could get to the reveal.
Separating it, I mean, it was good, but I like the it's funny. It's like some of the characters I like the most, like Hopper and 11 stuff. Like it was just like all about just keeping them busy.
Right.
Yeah.
And, it's like, I don't want busy. I want to move the plot forward here, and that neither of those did anything towards that.
Yeah,
I'm a little bummed how much they split the cast up, because I liked them all interacting together, but it's such a big cast now. You can't have them all in a big mass doing the same thing. So I understand why they have to split them up, but I like the interaction.
It's just too bad like that, because the adult child interaction between Winona Ryder and Hopper and those kids is some of the best parts of the show. Keep kind of just how they interact with the kids is good, and we didn't get to see any of that. Like they just didn't do that this season, so it was still good. It was still good.
I totally agree, though. They should. I was hoping they would get together quicker. I mean, it pays off, I feel like, in that last episode, because you want them to be together so bad, and then when finally, they've done this in past seasons too, but when they finally kind of group together, you get a larger group of them, it's like, that's what I want to see. That's what, let's go kill it now. But there were some good team ups in this. Mia Hawke's character teaming up with it's been too many weeks now
Nancy.
with now, Nancy.
How is your thoughts on Nancy evolve? I remember you thought Nancy was the worst.
At
the beginning.
I thought you loved Nancy at the beginning.
Cliff hated Nancy.
I hated Nancy at the beginning. I was like Vecna. Like I totally blamed her for killing Barb, and I was like, she is the worst. I can't stand this.
You were #justice for Barb.
It was a whole thing. And I mean, I admit that I've certainly come around a little bit, I've come around with her, but then we get to this season and Jonathan's in California smoking weed. Okay, that whatever. But yet, I don't know. I just kind of felt like, I guess if we were going to redeem her, she would stick with that and quit. They wouldn't tease her getting back with Steve so much and flirting with him and this kind of back and forth thing going on, because in that season 1 they were not good people. They were the bad guys,
right?
So
they're obviously
Steve was supposed to be killed off in season 1. He was just the stereotypical jock villain guy, but I think they liked the actor so much they found a way to redeem him.
Found a way to get his shirt off.
Right.
Everybody else jumped
He's
in
no
there,
Finn.
I had to say, I guess not. I don't like that aspect of what's going on between Nancy and him right now, like how they're possibly going to get back together, and I'm like, I mean, he isn't redeemed that much in my eyes. I mean, he was a complete jerk in the beginning, and why is she falling for him again? I mean, I didn't like it. At that part, I'm not a fan of. Who do you think's okay? There is a Stranger Things formula. I mean, there very, very much feels like there's a formula sometimes to these. We're going to get attached to somebody and somebody's going to die.
Yeah.
Who is that going to be?
I totally expect that to happen too. And I don't know who it's going to be.
I thought when that 4th episode or whatever, the big episode where they play the song and everything, at that moment I was like, do it.
She's dead.
She's
dead.
Do it. I really wanted them to do it. I like the character fine, but I was like, pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Max?
Like,
yeah.
Oh man.
I like Max. I like Max, dude. But in that moment I was like, are they going to do it or not? And I felt like they just kind of went.
Remember, what was it, season 2 where Bob died? Either season 2 or season 3 where Bob died. I mean, that just like ripped your heart out. You get to watch Billy die in season 3, so you're just waiting for Max to buy it, and you're like, if they, it's the good thing about that is they leave enough believability that they could do it in the show for you to be like, it could happen.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was a 50-50 thing there.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like it's going to happen to somebody. And if I were to predict who I think that might be at this point, I would say possibly Lucas. Ooh. It could be Will himself. Because I just feel like, other than season 1, Will just being a plot piece, they haven't really done much with him.
They haven't
until this year, and they've been obviously hinting at some stuff with him, and giving him a little bigger point, teaming him up with old Finn Wolfhard. And
the internet hates Mike. They do not.
I'm all about
kill
Mike.
He's got he's not. He's supposed to, for the show pushing him as the hero or the main character at the beginning. Like he's not been the fan favorite.
805-45 pizza. All right, call that number and you'll get to hear our good buddy that works at Surfer Boy Pizza talk about how schmacking the pineapple pizza is.
Argyle?
He's the best. He's the best part of this season. Yeah.
Oh man,
he's hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I'm excited for these last couple episodes. They're both like movie length, I guess.
Yeah.
So I really did. I was kind of like, okay, it's fine, but it's not doing it so much for me until we got to that last episode of Volume 1, and they really kind of put it together with 11, and that kind of like maybe, I don't know, I didn't put it together until like it happened, that last moment of sent us back to the beginning of how the thing came to be. The portal opened.
You know what I blame for that, Cliff? It's probably the same reason for me, is I was so distracted by that actor because I thought it was Jason Blossom. That creepy redhead.
He looks like JJ. Totally.
Oh man.
Yeah, I like that. God, I kind of saw it coming. I mean, it was pretty obvious to me he was going to be a bad guy.
Yeah, he was.
So just like shifty. They put him in there to be that over time. Something else made me think. I don't know. Oh, the guy that was helping him, or the guy was helping him at the prison or whatever, was the guy from Game of Thrones. He was one of the faceless men or whatever. What was his?
Yeah.
Oh, why can't I think of his name? Anyway, I just kept thinking, a man has a mustache. Because he always talked about, a man has this to Arya and stuff.
Yeah. God, that's a
Jaqen Hagar. That's it. Jaqen Hagar was his name in Game of Thrones.
I'm looking forward to the next volume. We'll see what's going to be. That's right around the corner. That's a little less than a month away. So be ready.
It's getting pretty close. I'm ready.
So what's next?
Next, we had the premiere of on Disney Plus, Miss Marvel.
Okay, so first off, I just want to say, I get it.
You get what?
High school.
Kamala. Another Avengers shirt. Cute. She thinks I'm some kind of weirdo.
You are weirdo. Boys. Excuse me?
Yeah.
You're kind of on my shirt.
Sorry.
But you're staring out the window in your little fantasy land. Kamala, hey. Already? Really? Come on,
Do I have to figure out my whole future before lunch, or is there maybe they're right? I spend too much time in fantasy land.
That is not you.
It's not really the brown girls from Jersey City who save the world. That's a fantasy too.
Did something happen to you?
No, why? Did you hear something?
Kamala? What does it feel like?
Cosmic. I always thought I wanted this kind of life, but I never imagined any of this.
Do you even know what you are?
I'm a superhero.
One Kamala Khan. And this show is getting I've seen a lot of love for this show, and a lot of positivity, and just a general like, hey, I really like how this show is starting off. It's not doing a lot of explainy stuff. It's just kind of putting you into her world, her
it's sitcom-y. It's got, it's a little lighter tone.
Sure.
With her, it's got a, more family friendly spin to it. Basically they nailed it as hard as they could with the freaking casting. That girl is a star. I've watched the first 2 episodes, and the second one's even better than the first one. She is so good. Like, yeah, I'm very impressed. What's her name, Jordan?
Is Iman Vellani.
I don't know where she came from, as in like if she ever did anything else, was on any other shows or anything, but
there are
great.
Pictures online of her cosplaying as Ms. Marvel when she was like 14.
Oh, okay.
So she was aware of this character, and like it meant something to her even before she got the role. So that's always a good
cool,
fanboy success story we like to hear.
Yeah, I love the show. Like I said, I mean, it's always got the
busted out. I had the hardcovers of the first 19 issues. Like they had them cheap one time from Marvel, but I'd never read the whole thing.
Right.
So I busted these out, and the show is as faithful as possible to this source material, Jesse.
Oh, nice.
Without having anything inhuman.
Yeah.
So this book is entirely about Inhumans. The villain's an Inhuman. Her powers are Inhuman. It's about, Lockjaw and Medusa are involved. Attilan, she goes and visits.
Wow.
I mean, it's steeped in Inhuman stuff, and Disney just plucked all that out of there and got rid of it. So
good.
Oh, wow.
Did that? I mean, because I'm not Marvel comic guy, did that make a difference to you guys watching the show?
Well, that would make me I'm glad that there isn't any inhuman stuff. I don't care at all about the Inhumans. My one quibble with it is, which things kind of escalate in the second episode. But in the first episode was this. We got to talk about Bruno. Her friend Bruno. She is not the greatest friend to this guy. Like he is. Yeah. He is like techie guy and sewing and doing he does all this stuff, and it's never like, well, what are you gonna do, Bruno? What are you gonna be? It's never any talk about anything he wants. She just walks all over him. And I mean, I was like, is this guy gonna be Syndrome when this is over? It's just like she treats him terribly. I don't know. I guess that's part of the story. But it just seemed weird.
The comic was created by writer G. Willow Wilson and co-creator editor Sana Amanat, who are 2 young females from New Jersey who are Muslim. So they brought their own life experiences to this. Artist Adrian Alfona. And funny enough, the first run of this only lasted 19 issues because it ended with an incursion. And the whole world ended because of Secret Wars.
Yeah.
So they ended all the Marvel comics that were going at the time. So it launched a whole new character debuted. It was an exciting new thing, and they had to end it almost just a little after a year after it debuted because it got chewed up in the Marvel event machinery. But
also, he made her his gloves and she forgot them.
Right. Just straight up. Yeah. I watched. I
don't know.
I watched the first episode with my family. We enjoyed what we watched. I've heard a lot of negativity about it as well, as much as positivity. And
I haven't heard anything negative about it. What do you hear negative?
Well,
I've seen some comments.
Yeah, and I'm sure that a lot of it's just baseless.
It is
just racist, probably.
It's all the negative stuff is coming, just as racist comments.
Woke.
And yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
so it's all the predictable stuff.
Throw all that in the garbage. I think this is a good family show that's freaking just great. Like I said, I like the second episode even better. It's way up there for me right now. When it's on, I'm gonna watch an episode right away.
And to me, this is doing diversity the right way. Instead of we have one Muslim character and they are the Muslim.
Right.
So if they're a good guy, then we're trying to say how amazing all the Muslims are. If they're a bad guy, all Muslims are terrorists. No, we see we see the ultra religious side of it. We see the more secular side of it. We see people who are kind of caught in the middle. We see all the cliques. We see they all just seem like relatable American people. Yes.
Yeah, they're actually people.
So when you have a multitude, you're not relying on one to represent all, so you can have a villain or a hero or a whatever, and they just seem like a cross section of what's really out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's the main takeaway from the show. Like I said, they don't bother with explaining everything to the audience of who everybody is or what, how they feel or all the references from religion or Bollywood or any of that stuff. They just put it in there like these people would experience or would talk about it themselves rather than, dumbing it down or spending half the show telling us what it is. And I like that because then after I watch an episode and I hear something, I hear a word that I don't know or what they're talking about, I don't get the reference, then I can take my time and go back and Google it and figure it out for myself.
Yeah.
The Marvel universe is big enough. I think it can fit all that in it. So the main thing, she gets this bracelet from her grandma, and her mom's a little weird about it. She acts like, no, you shouldn't. So we think the mom knows more than she's letting on.
Mm-hmm.
And she says at one point, I've seen what happens when people obsess with fantasy. And she doesn't want to talk about her great grandma. She tells the train story of the family escaping. And it was 1947, called the Partition, when India split from Pakistan. So said she brought shame to the family. Whoever this great grandma is some, speaking of not talking about Bruno, we don't talk about great grandma. Yeah, so there's something going on in the family lineage, whether, again, if it's not inhuman, are they Kree somehow, or is this or the Kree negabands or whatever they are that the OG Captain, was it Captain Marvel or Quasar or all those whatever. Yeah. Is it something like that, or is it something in their biology? Is it technology? We don't know, but I'm curious to find out.
It's not in the books.
No, she's inhuman.
Oh yeah, they've changed her power.
Good.
So
good. Okay, and what's next?
The exact opposite on the superhero show spectrum. Yeah. Amazon.
So let me say it again, Cam. I may be a superhero, but I'm also just a man who fell in love with the wrong woman. Just a man who fell for the wrong woman. Fell for the wrong woman. But out of crisis comes change. Out of crisis comes change. So I spent my last year really slowing down and reconnecting with myself. And I am very excited for everyone to meet the real me.
There's something wrong with Homelander. There's something broken. He's lost his fucking mind.
Love, mommy, daddy, and Abu. Hey, yo!
We've been on the straight and narrow all year. No killing Soups, no drinking. Even follow Hugh Campbell's orders without strangling him.
Now you're just being cruel.
Or maybe you're not such an asshole.
Family friendly.
Yes.
No.
The Boys on is a Prime show where we got the newest season started. Episode 5 just released today. Most of us have seen most of those episodes so far. And I don't know. This is a show, though. I keep waiting for it to like take a turn and kind of let me down. But I don't know if it's just because it stays on like real life topics, real life news stories. They kind of slip in there a little bit on top of this fantasy world with superheroes and stuff. I always find that kind of interesting. Like when they try and relate it to superhero story stuff. But we're back with Butcher and the boys, Huey and MM and the Homelander has, just when we think he can't get any worse, he's out there on the PR trail trying to convince people that he got fooled by a Nazi too, and that's how the season starts.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those shows where it is something you don't want the kids to walk in on usually.
Graphic.
The Homelander situation that you're talking about there, basically he's now getting to a point where he's got nothing to lose and he knows it, and he's using it against everybody because he knows he's practically invincible. And now that, the only thing that was kind of keeping him in his place, I haven't watched episode 5 yet, but it was mostly like he was so concerned about the public's perception of him. And then all of a sudden he's like, no, then all of a sudden it's like he finds out that if he's honest with people, if he's honest with the American public, there's a section of the public that love it.
And how scary is that? Someone who telling it like it is can win over an audience.
That's what I was just going to say. Is like, this guy is exactly, they're just making a Trump character is what it is.
Right.
You can gain popularity through performative patriotism and white male grievance. Shocking.
So he's starting to become more manipulative. It's not getting good. And Carl Urban's character, of course, Billy Butcher, is now, he's what is it? Compound V? Is that what he's taking? Or he's
temporary? It's temporary. They always say that. It's just a temporary kind.
Yeah, he's dealing with a little bit of a drug addiction. We'll just put it that way. If you want to, you could probably draw something. If you were given some superpowers, why wouldn't you want to use those?
You could see how fast you could pitch.
Right. Exactly. But man, I'm loving. I've loved The Boys since I first started watching it. We've covered the book on source material. This is a Garth Ennis thing. It's my jam all the way. Sorts of ultra violence. Go ahead.
How much did you enjoy the book? Did you?
There's definitely. Oh my goodness, you remember? So let me get my thoughts together here. The book definitely had more graphic moments that I can remember. At least I didn't read the whole series, but I think I've read the first 1 or 2 volumes, and I can remember some of the graphic stuff that happened in there. And also these were things that was just like, you can't believe that's in a comic book. And then they kind of, the opening scene for episode 1 of this season was probably I'll never forget what happens in episode 1 of season 5. The explosion that happens will be etched in my memory from there on out. But as for liking the book, I loved what I read. I enjoyed it. It's pretty much the ultra violence that you get here. I didn't have any problem with it.
So this book was published by Wildstorm, parent company DC, but not for long, because DC decided we can't publish this. So they gave the rights back, and it went to Dynamite. So Dynamite has had a bestseller, for many years, but DC couldn't take it.
They couldn't take that. They couldn't hack it.
Yeah, I read like you the first couple volumes and really liked it. I think the show goes a little deeper than that. There's a lot of flash to the comic.
Right.
Yeah, that was my thought. I read off and on because the issues were coming out as I was getting them, so I would flip through it and maybe read a little bit, but I didn't really keep up with it. I liked it well enough, but it had that attitude which is very Garth Ennis, that the book was all about superheroes. And yes, there were some metaphors, and it was about people, and any people in power are wankers and need to be taken down a peg, but superheroes in particular. And it had this mean streak about it that superheroes suck. They're terrible and immature, and anyone who likes them sucks and is immature. Like, it had this, like, this all needs to be wiped away. This all is harmful to society.
Yeah, it's very anti-gosh, which is good old superheroes.
Right.
That's not happening in The Boys.
So I can appreciate some of that, but it's not what I want to read, every month. Right. But the show is doing something different. The show has become a really strong satire of literally everything. Oh. Everything going on in America. This show is, and I don't know if it's the most artful way to do it, but like, the way the media manipulates reality for all of us is front and center. And it's the people in charge aren't making decisions on what is right and wrong. It is, what does the polling data say? What do the analytics say? How will this come off? Can we cover this up with a press release? Like, everything is about manipulating how it's viewed and not what's actually happening. Right.
Yeah.
So the entire thing is run real life, and the marketing and the sales and the advertising. Everything's being sold to us. Even if it's not
building off the celebrity of these superheroes, they're using that to manipulate the public. And
right. And this is a story I feel like can only be told right now, as superheroes are so popular, have so taken over pop culture. You can have that scene was in the most recent one. There's a villain attacking. What should we do? All right, you book the Sunday shows. You get a press release out. It's like, no, should we go stop the villain? It's like, that's the first thought is, how do we spin this? And so it
definitely feels like the perfect time to do this. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
While making points about corporations, politics, celebrity, fandom, the military, pharmaceutical companies, race, policing, cancel culture, Me Too, and Time's Up. Like, literally everything anyone's talking about, the show is throwing some of it in there and saying, like, and blowing it up to 11 because it's superheroes with costumes and powers. So it's, I don't know if it's a spoonful of sugar kind of thing to help the medicine go down, but it's something. And I'm just so impressed every week of like, all right, I guess the show is doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I was going to ask you guys, because I did not read these books. I'm strictly just going off the show for the most part. With the addition now, they've added Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy. Is this pretty along the same? Is it pretty similar to him in the comic book? Or is this a completely different? Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, that character's a little later in the run, I think.
I'm the same way. Yeah, I don't recall seeing Soldier Boy at all.
But I did read the character that popped up in this last one, the legend.
Yeah. So got Paul Reiser playing the Stan Lee role here.
Oh, nice.
He's pretty good. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Nice.
I was like, man, Paul Reiser. He's on two of these shows we're talking about.
He's everywhere right now. It does, all we need is a My Two Dads reboot, and
everybody's mad. Everybody's mad about Paul Reiser.
So I don't know. Has anybody watched anything else you want over the last week?
Million things. Barry just ended.
Oh yeah,
I know. I saw you watch it, Jesse. I follow you. Follow your little ratings thing, and I was a little miffed by your rating of the last episode.
Okay, all right. I was just about to
pull
up TV Time.
I think you gave it 3 out of 5, and
if I gave it a 3 out of, this season hasn't been doing it for me.
You're crazy. I don't think you get this show. Get out of here.
Oh yeah, sure.
Stop talking. Bye.
I don't disagree. And I rewatched the first 2 because it had been quite a while since we had any new episodes. So I rewatched the first 2, jumped right into 3, was really excited. And to me, it's been fine. I don't know. It hasn't really clicked. And they're making him a little more hard to like, which is fine. I don't mind a complicated hero or anti-hero, but I don't know. Something about this season isn't quite what it was.
He's not a good guy. Like that, it's a guy that thinks he's a good guy. It's not a good guy.
So I started watching it, and I didn't realize it's so funny because we're sitting there watching it. We're going through season 1, season 2, season 3, and then I told my wife, I was like, "Holy!" There was a huge gap in between these seasons that, of course, we didn't experience. Everybody else did that was watching it and was staying up on top of it. Because we went right into the final or this last season. But yeah, I mean, you're rooting for the guy at the beginning, and now we're at a point where I don't root for Barry. Most of these characters are just are unlikable, and that's fine. Again, that's obviously what they're shooting for here. But I liked Barry at first. I was like, okay, you know, the one guy I'm rooting for, NoHo Hank. Yeah. That's the guy I'm rooting for. Yeah. And
what an amazing scene when he's in the cell and there's a whatever on the other side of that wall.
I know, dude.
That was so intense.
Right.
Incredible acting job by these people. I could see why it loses, you guys, because it is so dark and there's no one to root for. I get that. That's a big reason why it would lose a lot of people. I just think the guy is a brilliant director. Like Bill Hader is incredible at making this meticulous clinical way of shooting something that shows you just the bare minimum of what you have to see. Never tells you anything. You just make these connections by yourself by what you see. There's no talk to explain anything, and you don't need it. We are all capable of following this story. It's just, I think it's so well done.
And I even like the randomness that random things will just happen, or, you know, a gun will go off, you know, when you don't expect it. Like, I like the surprises. I can't pinpoint.
And there's good humor. The one cop that just is not going to believe that it was a raven or whatever. When he's sitting at the beginning of this last episode, when he's in the back and he's like, we're like, what happened to Albert? Well, after he got his gun out and cocked it in our faces, he left. I figured he's out seeing the sights.
No clue.
It's so good to me. I mean, NoHo Hank is getting out from whatever that was, going down the hallway, and just giving us, we do not know what's going on. You see just this body dancing, just in the shadow. It looks like, doesn't even almost look human. And you're like, what is he walking into? What is going on in this house? You know,
right?
It's just like, and just the sadness of like all these relationships are ruined. Nobody has a relationship after this. I don't care who you are. The one redeeming thing, even I mean, just that the character of that Henry Winkler's playing. I mean, that guy should win an award. I think he is doing great in the show. And just playing this piece of crap. He never made it as an actor, so he pretends he's a great director that can give lessons, and people take him, and everybody hates him. And now, at the end of this, he actually has to. What's he have to do to solve this problem? He has to act.
Yes,
he has to act.
Gene Cousineau.
He has to step up after getting yelled at in his face.
Right, man. I mean, that guy was
snap him out of it.
What a weird way to like interrogate or persuade somebody.
It worked.
It worked. Yeah, exactly.
But it was like, what are we watching? But just like all the stuff, that 6th episode where he's on the motorcycle and just like all the stuff that happens in that episode's amazing. Like,
yeah, I will give it. There's definitely been some standouts for me.
Oh my gosh, it just like I could go on and on. That Sally is incredible. The girl who plays Sally, like her face in this episode when she like gets through all the torment they went through in that room, and he's like holding her face. It's just like she looked like she died and come back to life. It's just like, and just the fact that he's still deluded about everything. Like he thinks that, here's what we do, and I'm solving this, and we'll still be together, and
the fact he still thinks he can fix it, or he can just one more thing to do, and then everything will go back to normal.
Oh man, I loved when Albert said to him, "You got to stop. You got to starting now." When he said, I was like, "Oh, that was awesome! Yeah. What a payoff!" Yeah. It's so dark, though.
I mean, it's getting. it wasn't hitting it for me this season. Yeah. There's enough there. I'm going to watch next season, no doubt.
Yeah,
I mean, well, how they're going, the way they ended it, you know,
it could have been the end. That could have been the end. They're not ending it, but that would have been an ending. I'm curious. I hope they can explain why whatever happens next, because that was a pretty big end to it.
Right.
I don't know. I love it. I think it is A+ stuff.
A+. Well, I've been watching an HBO Max series.
Oh yeah.
Time Traveler's Wife.
Time travel. It's not a superpower. It's a disability. It's what's wrong with me. Can I help you?
Henry.
Sorry, I don't know.
Claire.
So we've met then?
Yes. We just happened to each other in the wrong order.
Any hobbies?
I'm your future wife.
Your day well.
Three things I got good at to survive. Running, fighting, and stealing.
The danger isn't the worst.
Christmas is the worst.
There are days he keeps going back to.
I can't control it. And I hate to be where she's not. I'm always going and she can't follow.
This is me changing the future.
I have tried to change it. Trust me. You can't. Hi, everyone.
Who the hell are you?
What does he look like?
I love Henry more than I could ever love anyone else.
So then where is he?
So I don't know if you guys.
I haven't started it yet. I put it on my list there.
Yeah,
I never read the book. I never watched the movie.
I will say that I didn't expect a whole lot.
Okay.
And you know me and time travel. We just had two big long episodes about our love for that. But it is a very, very solid series.
Okay.
I definitely like the time travel mechanics in it. Of course, it's just one guy who, you know, is traveling back in time into his own past, sometimes outside, but it's done well for a romance story.
Yeah.
To have these science fiction elements in there. They put just enough sci-fi into it to make it very interesting and for me, but it's definitely a love story. It's a great love story. So I would say if you have the opportunity to check it out, if you want to wait till all the episodes drop, definitely watch it because I wasn't expecting a whole lot.
I'll probably check it out. I'm on vacation this week, so I can catch up on some stuff. I'll see what first episode does for me.
Okay.
I wondered how well it straddled that line of, you know, a romance, you know, drama, and an interesting sci-fi story, because I guess it would be hard to do both.
The character, like the character's interesting. You know, the main character, he's been time traveling his whole life, but it keeps it very, very interesting to try and find out. The hardest part is to think outside of time linearly. Is that a word? You have to, because this guy is going back and forth in different ages, but they do a good job of keeping you in the story and not letting that take you out of it, because it might be him at 38 years old, and then the next scene you might see him with his future wife when he was like 20 something and she's 16, and it's just they're all over the place, and you're like, that should be a big detriment to this series, and it's not. They do it great. It's the first time that I've ever seen something this complicated get told this well in a time travel story.
Cool.
You know what, guys? That sounds like the next This Is Us for you guys.
We'll see. We will.
I don't think you're going to cry too much.
Yeah. Oh, don't put it past us.
And Jesse, I know you already talked about this one, I believe, but there's the other HBO miniseries, We Own This City. Did anyone else check that out?
I watched it.
David Simon and George Pelicanos follow up to The Wire.
You guys know who I am?
Please let me see your hands. On the ground. Keep your hand on the ground.
Hey, so tell me something.
We asked the questions.
I'm just curious. I mean, what brought y'all into us?
Long story. A lot of twists.
No doubt. No doubt.
I'm Nicole Steele with the Department of Justice. In a city of 620,000, BPD cops reported over 300,000 pedestrian stops in the last 5 years.
You guys have locked up and beat on so many people, we can't get 12 in a box who are willing to trust what a cop says.
Could there ever be a moment where a police officer performed their job in such a manner that you would agree with the finding that he should be fired for abusive behavior or brutality?
Certainly.
Has it ever happened?
We're doing our jobs. What do people want for us to stop policing?
They want us to do it without the collateral damage.
You know what the Baltimore cops who don't have complaints are doing every day?
No.
They sure as hell ain't policing.
And you can't just blame the cops. We serve the politicians who thrive on being tough on crime.
And when they reinstated me, they put me in a unit made up of a bunch of the biggest crooks in the whole goddamn department.
These men right here, my detectives, we do things by the book.
Mr. The Madness I'm living.
The drug war justifies a lot.
Mr. The Madness.
This is a dysfunctional police department with a culture that looks at accountability as a four-letter word. I told you weeks ago about a federal investigation.
There's always a rumor of a federal investigation. This shit never happens. It's Baltimore.
This shit been going on for a long while. We just followed the leader.
Am I going to lose my job over this?
Many of the same actors from The Wire, that classic police criminal drama. Also set in Baltimore. And it's about corrupt cops on the gun trace task force. So
it's tough to see. It's tough to see that one guy that was playing a detective that played a drug dealer or whatever.
Marlo.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, we over on the Rattling Broadcasting Network, Mark has got a project. It's a monthly project that we're doing right now, where we're going through all the David Simon related series. So we just did Homicide. We did Homicide season 5, 6, and 7. So we just finished that up. We did do We Own This City. Jon Bernthal. Oh my gosh. I mean, amazing. What an actor. And I mean, he is by far 3 or 4 levels above whatever else we get in that show because it's amazing what he can pull off. But yeah, I mean, it was, again, what were we talking? Like there was like 4 episodes, 6 episodes. I can't remember.
6.
And it was a good procedural. I didn't have any idea this was based on a true story. No clue until the very end where they're like showing all the stuff that's happened to these guys afterwards. And then immediately Mindy's like, what's going on with them now? So we were immediately on the internet trying to find out what's going on with what's his name and the cops that he was involved with. But yeah, I enjoyed myself. I had a good time watching it.
See, I rewatched The Wire not too long ago, within the last year or so.
Me too.
And it's a great series. People hail it as the best show of the century or whatever. But like, there's a little bit of like tone deafness of where we are right now with policing, the way the heroes jump out and harass the corner boys, and like there's just some ugliness to it. So I feel like this show deals with that of like, you know, there's always the argument like, how else do you want us to police? We're putting our lives on the line. It's really dangerous out there. What do you want us to do? And I get that argument, but it also plays the other side of like the community. You can't even get a full jury together because there's no one on a jury who will trust what a cop says.
Right.
And it's this year after year harassment and problems in this inner city. And that's an interesting concept to think about.
The one thing that I took away from it was like the downfall of just about everybody, every entity in that show was greed. They wanted money or they wanted numbers. You know, it didn't have to, greed doesn't have to just be money. I mean, everybody, we wanted the numbers. We got to get, you know, this guy gets out. He's the one guy, even though he beats the crap out of everybody he comes across, he's the one guy that does the policing.
Right.
He's the one guy that brings up the numbers. Okay, well, let's let him do what he wants to do. It is a that show doesn't give you any answers. It just shows you what the problem is.
It shows you, yep, look at these problems. Look what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you guys going to do about it? I don't know, but I'm here to show you.
Come visit Baltimore. It's a Baltimore tourism movie.
Oh, yeah. I bet Baltimore loved that.
I love Jon Bernthal. He should win an award for like most accent or something. Like his accent
most beardness.
He raised his voice like 3 octaves. Like, hey,
he did
like,
too.
It was so
I noticed
high
that. It was
call that ambulance. Gotta call an ambulance, man. Like he was just on a whole other level. He had an energy about him.
The one scene when I think it's at the end of the first episode where they just throw him into the box, I guess you'd say, or they throw him into an interrogation room, and he thinks he's bigger than everybody. Yeah. He believes it, and one guy walks in there, and Jon Bernthal says nothing. Not one word comes out of his mouth, but the looks that he gives to that guy, you would think he's going to kill him. It's just an amazing piece of acting. Really, my goodness, I can't speak.
That's good.
I did watch another David Simon thing just recently called The Corner. Have you guys ever watched The Corner?
I know of it, but I haven't seen it.
It is the most depressing thing I've ever seen. It's also obviously centered in Baltimore, but it is straight up just about a family dealing with drug addiction and being on the corner and dealing drugs. Again, it just shows you what the problem is and doesn't really give you any answers. But like I said, it is very, very depressing.
I believe all his research and work on that is what led to The Wire doing a fictionalized version. I believe so.
Yeah. Hey, if you guys are interested in David Simon, monthly over there on the Rattledge and Broadcasting Network. We'll tell you about drugs, we'll tell you about cops, we'll tell you about depression.
That's a lot of fun.
Sounds like a good time.
Well, the last thing I had, just something real quick. I know that
bring it up, Cliff. Raise it up for us.
That Seth and Jordan and I watched, I think, all in the same night at the same time almost. Was Adam Sandler's latest movie on Netflix called Hustle.
Do you love this game? I mean, love it with your whole heart. Because if you don't, let's not even bother. Let's not open that door. They're just going to slam it right in our face.
Look, I be riding through my old hood, but I'm in my new whip.
I love this game. I live this game. There's 1,000 other guys waiting in the wings who are obsessed with this game. Obsession's going to be talent every time. You got all the talent in the world, but are you obsessed? Let's face it, it's you against you out there.
Look at me.
When you walk on that court,
look at me.
You have to think I am the best guy out there.
Hey.
So let me ask you again. Do you love this game?
Look at me.
All about he's a road agent, a scout for an NBA team, the Philadelphia 76ers, and travels all over the world looking for the next big superstar. And that's pretty much the premise of the movie.
I am such a sucker for a sports movie.
Yeah.
There's no, you can just root for, it's such an easy thing to, there's no bad guy. There's a bad guy, but there's nothing bad about the characters you're rooting for. It's just and it's just like the world's against them, and they just I just love. Give me a Hoosiers. Give me a
that underdog story is a great thing.
This was just I mean, it's not the greatest movie I've ever seen, but it is such a pleasant, enjoyable watch to watch an underdog story, of somebody that has skills, try to get into, make it and, be the guy or whatever. It's just like, I love it. I love it.
And this movie kind of doubles down on that. Like Adam Sandler himself, even though he's in the league, like he's kind of an underdog too. He had an accident. He was a college player, had an accident, ruined his career. Now he's still trying to get into or remain in the league and get to where he wants to be, as well as finding the underdog, is finding this guy on the street and trying to get him into the NBA. So it really doubles up on it, but I really enjoyed it. I hadn't watched a movie like that for a little while.
Adam Sandler can freaking act. I don't like his comedies basically anymore. I like the old ones, but most of that garbage where he just goes off to somewhere with his friends and makes a garbage movie, I don't care about that at all. I don't watch any of them, but man, I freaking love his Punch Drunk Love and Uncut Gems, and this was kind of a mix of between the two. He went off. He's a huge basketball fan, so he went off with his basketball friends and made a movie.
Right.
But he got to play a serious character, and it was freaking great. Yeah. You've not watched this, Jesse? Is this not your type of movie?
No, I'd watch it. I haven't heard really anybody review it yet to say if it was good or bad. I've just seen it sitting there it's on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to bring it up.
There were a whole bunch of cameos from a whole bunch of people I didn't recognize, but I was still if you're an NBA fan, there's a lot to like here. But I'm not at this moment, and I still by the end of it, I was really invested and rooting for it. And
I honestly think you're better off not knowing if these you don't know who the guy is that he goes and finds. You don't know who all these people that are playing characters. You don't know whether they're anything or not.
And it was interesting the behind the scenes. How do you get to a tryout? How do you get seen by the important people? And the steps you got to take. I don't know, the NBA. If you don't go to college, you don't get drafted that way. Like, how do you get in the side door?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it was good stuff. So
it's good. Good movie. Good way to end it, Cliff. We did it.
We did it.
All right. Thank you once again in the fourth chair there, Mr. Jesse Starcher. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
And plugs. Now's the time.
Oh, well, then I'll go ahead and do that.
You were slightly plugging earlier. Don't think we didn't notice.
If you like comic books, I do a comic book podcast. There's a feed out there. It's called the Source Material Comics Podcast feed. Should be able to find that pretty easily in any podcatcher. We got a couple shows on there strictly for the Source Material feed. That's Source Material, which just it's kind of like a book club for comics. We'll pick a story. We'll talk about it. Usually me and a guest. I might go on a solo adventure. Just recently dropped one on Count Duckula #1 from 1988. Yeah, buddy. Learn all about Nanny and Igor and Count Duckula. All on that.
I listened to your series on Image Comics.
Oh, well, I'm glad you did. Thank you very much. I know it was pretty quick hit just about every day. Me and Chris Armstrong sitting there.
That was enticing to me.
We would sit there and we discussed and ranked. We ranked them, folks. Ranked our favorite Image creators and their #1s when the Image comics launched. So we went from 7 to 1. Got to tune in to find out what #1 is. And trust me and Chris Armstrong, we agreed wholeheartedly and 100% on who #1 was going to be. Check that out. That was Under Unspoken Issues, because that is the other show that runs on the Source Material Comics Podcast Network, which is just focused on 90s comics affiliated with the Unspoken Decade. So we have all sorts of other stuff coming up here sometime soon. So just kind of keep an eye out. You like comics? Tune in. Feel free to subscribe. Usually drop about an episode a week. Thank you guys very much again for having me on.
And if you want to be like Jesse, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/udownwithkpp. No, it's just patreon.com/udownwithkpp. No .com.
That's the first one.
Yeah. So
easiest pie, everybody.
.com.
But yeah, no, we're trying to we put some fun stuff out there every now and again, and you get a lot of these episodes, the video versions we record now as much as possible, and there's some fun other stuff. The $5 tier currently has a free sticker promotion, so we're running with that. Ooh. But you can get some merch. Yeah, so check us out there.
All right, so we'll be back soon. We've got Obi-Wan to talk about. We've got more Kids on Bikes role playing and Riverdale at some point. So we will be back soon. This is Ka-Pow, the Pop Culture Podcast, and my name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Bye forever. Oh.
Ooh. Wow.
My mom did a marathon summer cleaning thing. And found a box of old comics.
Are you serious?
In a closet. So I brought a couple that were in this box.
Unbelievable. Count Duckula. Madballs number one.
Ad on the back.
Look at that, dude. Nice. Very nice.
Back to the Future. The adventures continue. And it says not for resale. I don't know what this was.
Where'd that come out of?
I don't know. I can't find anything. It was a giveaway or something.
Yeah, was that like a Burger King promotion or something?
Published by Harvey Comics, Back to the Future. I don't know if it was like trying to sell, like the animated series was just about to come out, and it was some kind of promo or something.
What's the year? Looks like
1991.
Okay.
And you can get the VHS box set for $59.95.
Man, that's awesome, dude.
Cliff, the Mickey and Goofy.
That's Universe of Energy,
sponsored by Exxon.
Yes,
so it's a whole comic about how awesome oil is.
Are you serious?
Yes, that was the attraction in Epcot in 1982. It was all about fossil fuels back then, and Exxon promoting them and how good they were and the future of energy.
Let's dig up stuff out of the dirt.
That's that's the stuff right there.
Yellow Man and Wobbly.
Never heard of that.
Jello giveaway. Tandy Computer, the Whiz Kid.
I've seen that.
Jello Jiggler.
I've seen ads for that.
Hotline for victims of substance abuse. Compliments of Radio Shack. The X-Men Pizza Hut giveaway.
I remember that one. Yep.
The Spider-Man. Does anyone know this issue?
Spider-Man and Power Pack.
That looks familiar.
Where it is revealed that Spider-Man got molested.
Oh no!
Wow.
There's a kid being there's a babysitter who was like, let's tickle and let's have fun, but don't tell your parents.
Oh no.
And Spider-Man hears it in the next room and runs over to save him and tells him a story that when he was little, the same thing happened. This creepy old dude.
Oh man.
Bought him some hot dogs, took him to a ball game.
He said there's some stuff. I bet you've never seen anything like what's in that magazine.
Oh no. Gosh.
Oh, it was Kevin Keller. His tickle fights. God.
He says something about like I didn't have the courage to go home or something. So something like something bad happened. Muppet Babies.
Muppet
nice.
Babies.
And now Muppet Babies is Muppet Babies Marvel?
Yes.
Is it Star or is it Marvel
Marvel. Yeah, this must be before the Star thing.
Well, Star. I learned that Star went out in '88, I think. Yeah, because Count Duckula had a Marvel thing, but it said on the inside presented by Star Comics. So depending on what year it is, it was.
Oh, looks like '89. It must be after.
It might even say on the inside like
Star Comics
presents. Yeah.
So these are all mine at some point.
That's fantastic, dude. Hey, I never did get to tell you guys the story, and I'll make it quick. I know we're getting late, but the whole X-Men, giant size X-Men that I was talking about.
Yeah.
So the lady sends me. I can't remember how much I told you guys, but so this is a lady I work with, and she sends me a message, and she's like, hey, she knows I'm I collect comics and whatever. She's like, going down in the basement. We're getting ready for the yard sale. We're cleaning things out. She's like, do any of these look good? And she sends me the pictures, and there's like, I don't know, 10 or 15, let's say probably about 10 giant size comics. But, I'm pouring through them. This is about like a month and a half ago. I'm kind of going through it, and I'm like, I said, you might be able to sell those on eBay and probably get like $20 or something like that. There is, giant size Kung Fu, whatever it was, Hand of Kung Fu, I can't remember. But anyway, they're all like Bronze Age, mostly giant size comics, but nothing that I've ever was like, holy crap, call somebody. And then of course, like a month later, she's like, Jesse, this one. And I'm like, what is she talking about? And there is a giant size X-Men #1. And I'm like, holy crap. Why didn't you show me this? I was going through the pictures, make sure I didn't miss it. And I told her, I said, her husband, I guess he collected cards. So he knows about grading and stuff like that. Didn't know that about didn't know that you could do that with comics, but he knew about baseball cards and stuff like that. And I was like, go and get it graded. I said, you most likely it's probably going to at least I was sending her prices from eBay of stuff that was graded, and it was decent. It was decent condition. But I didn't know if he would bring it in or anything like that, because they live in Marietta, and I didn't know if he'd be like, hey, can you help me get this graded or whatever? I didn't suggest you or anything. I said, you want to look into like trying to get that figured out, because if it's decent grade, you can make bank on it pretty good right now. So, but yeah, I couldn't believe it. She sent me stuff before. She's like, what do you think of this? And this was like 2 or 3 years back. It was a bagged Death of Superman. I'm like, well, I mean, you can get $1 for that, maybe.
Those were in there too. All those die cut Return of Superman covers, and the white bagged adventures.
Yeah.
So yeah, other people are finding giant size X-Men in their boxes. I'm finding Muppet
Babies. You get Muppet Babies.
Muppet Babies. Got the one.
Spider-Man gets molested.
Taken to a ball game.
Saw the Bicycle Man. Wow.
Well, good times, gentlemen.
All right. We did it.
Yes.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.